Hello everyone and welcome to the second installment of my interview series with players and coaches from Polaris. This time around I had the fantastic opportunity to speak with Polvi, one of the two new additions on the Human Tripwires roster for this split. Firstly, Polvi, thank you for joining me on the video.
Yes, a lot. Pleasure to be here.
And for those who perhaps don't know who you are, if you could just introduce yourself for everyone at home.
Well, my in-game name goes by Polvi. I don't think it's a huge surprise where it comes from. It comes from my last name, and my first name is Nico, but I prefer everyone just call me Polvi, so hello.
So welcome to the video. Of course, you spent most of last year playing in that core between 10 Star and Mad Lions. What did the off-season look like for you after you left Mad Lions and then made the decision to join this mix in the form of the Barbers?
We didn't have anything really. I think most of the players we had, I think no one got any offers besides like XMS, who got into Carmine Cup with all of his mates, like what was it, Nivera, Scream, all of those. So he got like a friendship team going up there, but I feel like I didn't get any offers, like no one asked me to play or anything. I don't think like Gray and those guys didn't get the offers either, but like Brody got super lucky to get picked up by Ascent, which I'm super happy about because he's a good IGL in my opinion. Aim-wise he's not the best, but trust me, he's a good captain because he's got the good captain leadership going on there.
Yeah, no, I find it surprising that you didn't have any offers necessarily. What was then the decision to go with the Barbers and head in through towards Northern Europe? Do you think that it's perhaps because it was one of the stronger regions, one that you particularly wanted to play in because there were a few different VRC circuits floating around?
I mean, the funny part is that I wasn't even supposed to be in the Barber. they only came up to me, Eagles came up to me like, yo bro, you were like free to play because we are missing a fifth. Obviously it was JD back in the time. So JD was supposed to be playing instead of me. But Adam came up to me like, yo bro, you're free to play, like come up play with us, like this, what was it, it wasn't Chilo, it was like one of the Beacon tournaments. He came up to me like, oh, yo, can you play? And so on, and it just came up from there because all of them liked me a lot after that. So I was like, okay, well, let's play more then.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying before we started the call, we got the same kind of haircut going on. I mean, at least when you had the curtains out, we did, and you said that you haven't got a barber yet. Then, so what is it that on the Barbers you didn't ever decide that you wanted to go for something different, or was that like the rationale behind it?
It's just, I mean, it's on the, because we are the Barbers,
yeah.
You know, we can do the haircuts if we are mates, they can do the haircuts, you know. So we just keep the spirit up.
Fair
keep
enough.
going the hair.
Yeah, I know there's a few different haircuts that you guys have throughout the team, but anyway, let's forget about that. Right, the time of the Barbers is over, but while it did still last, you guys obviously took part in the Beacon finals. You weren't able to qualify. What was that experience like from your perspective? What do you think the reasons were, perhaps, why things didn't go to plan?
I mean, honestly, I think it's much more on the comms. On paper, the team is amazing. On paper, it's amazing. But I feel like it's just lacking some of those communication part-wise. Like sometimes we are missing out on calls. Like practice was on the same page as well. Like sometimes people don't call anything. So it's like it's quiet there. So I think comms-wise, we just lost the game, only that. But like aim-wise and so on, everyone is amazing on it. Like I think people underestimate like how, especially like Locker, because he used to be playing only like Jet Open shit. So okay, excuse me, there's slurs and stuff.
You can swear as much as you want. You can swear as much as you want. It's fine.
Okay, amazing. So he's going on the rolls because he's flexing around. So I give a props to him. I mean, I'm on the bridge as well, so I know exactly how is it like going from the jet up there. So you have to take some part and take how do you say it? Like you have to not play your best, but still try your best. Yeah. And of course, like Cryptix, he used to play Sentinels, now he's in a new role as well, so huge props to those guys, and Meadow is still amazing as he always been.
Yeah, and I guess now you're coming into this Human Tripwires team and having Connor and Fern both leaving quite abruptly. How did that opportunity come about for you? Because I imagine there was probably a point in time where you were thinking, okay, well, what am I going to do now? I didn't qualify in towards Polaris through the Barbers, and perhaps there aren't any offers elsewhere. When did this sort of come about for you?
I think Stanley even messaged me back in when we were even trying to qualify for the Polaris League.
Really?
He was trying to, he came up to me and messaged me like, "Yo, bro, like we are going with the Human Tripwires. You're interested to come and play with us?" I was like, "Nah, I want to stick with the Barbers, mate. Like this lineup is sick." So I'm like, "Okay." And after we lost, Eccles just came up to me like, "Yo, like they're trying to kick out like Fern and Connor." I was like, "Why would they do that?" But like, okay, like I have an opportunity at least to show myself. Even though I'm not playing the duelist role, at least I can try to be my best on the flex role. Then I can be like adapting and give myself an aim there and there. Like it's a good opportunity. I feel like I'm not missing a lot, so I like it.
Yeah, and that's something which you touched upon a little bit already, right? You said it then, and then with Lucca, understanding that breach role a little bit. You're now playing Initiator mostly. I mean, we saw you on the Reyna yesterday on Icebox against Vamonos, but for the most part, you have been on the breach and the KO. That's a little bit more of a role swap than what you're used to, perhaps, or what people would expect from you on the duel list. How has that felt playing so far on the team? How have you settled into the new role?
Honestly, it's amazing. I mean, practice is the best, of course, because you have to get adapting on stuff. But on officials, I feel like I'm doing great stuff. Like on officials, I'm the best on, because I feel like, of course, practice is practice, but you have to be on your best point on practice as well. So you cannot be like this game is just whatever. Like I can't be bothered, you know. Of course, you have to do your work and so on. But like, I think I'm having a good time. I like playing practices lately.
Yeah.
Even though I might be not the passive player, I might be going for the aggro plays as well sometimes, but I love it. It's fun.
Yeah. I can tell definitely you're someone who has a lot of energy. You're saying as well about the amount of coffee that you started drinking, right? You know, that's the fuel which powers you, right? And I think Initiator, you do have that flexibility to get aggressive sometimes, and I suppose that suits you well, right?
Yeah, of course. Like I think sometimes you can be the passive player. Like you can be the most support player ever you want to be. Like you have your flash on hand, you have your stun out and everything. Like I can do that, of course, and I don't blame it. Like I can be the trader as well. I don't need to be like the entry every time.
Yeah, and I mean, another thing right there, of course, there has been quite a few changes to the team. You and Eccles are the sort of consistent factors coming through from Barbers, and there is that core of Human Tripwires there as well. How would you say that this new Human Tripwires team really is? Are there more elements taken from the Barbers, with Eccles being an IGL and calling in that kind of way, or has there been a real imprint since you've joined the team from what was already existing?
I mean, I think it's more like questionable. I mean, what am I saying? It's more a question for Adam because he's coming in from them. I'm not the one making like the calls and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think he's like adapting on like the same as in Barbers, of course, because he's more like used to that one. Like calling on Barbers, it's much more easier and make the work much more easier. But yeah, I don't know really how to answer.
Yeah. I suppose, I guess something to say would be then, in your practice, in your scrims, has it been vastly different to what you were experiencing on the previous team, or have a lot of the same ideas been kept in how you want to try and approach the games and how you want to try and play at least?
I mean, of course, you have to be adapting here and there. Like, you cannot be doing the same stuff all over again. Like, when we are on the Barbers, like, you cannot bring everything on the same stuff to the Human Tripwires, of course. Like, you have to be doing something else because everyone is not the same player, of course. So, but mostly we are trying to make it like basic stuff. So, like, people love to play like on their own way, and Adam loves his calling ways.
Yeah. I guess something to perhaps ask as well is, and this is a question mainly coming from me, I know your Fracture comp has been a little bit different. You trialed with some different ideas against Hookahs. The Fracture comp that you had back on Barbers with the Harbour, the Sky, like it was a really wacky one. How did that end up coming about? I'm just curious to ask.
I mean, I think we went into Fracture and we were thinking like, why do we need a Viper? Because you can have a Harbour.
Okay.
You just have it, you can do so much of it, and we just try to run it on a Fracture. So we're thinking like, what can we do with the Harbour there? I don't think Fade is good because he's so slow. I think KO is good, but nah. Let's take the Sky. He still has the flashes. Yeah, he can still dog. You can take the information with the Harbour wall. Like there's a play on Fracture on Arcade. You have the Harbour wall, like the straight wall going up. You just clear it with the Skydog. I'm following it as a race or neon. I can clear everything with the dog and just a wall. I don't need to worry about behind the wall. So easy. But when we went to official, yeah, it was not the same.
Yeah, yeah. It's perhaps it's one of those things that you just throw into a scrim, right, and you can catch someone off guard in a best of one. But then when teams are coming in with that preparation, it's a little bit different. I think one of the interesting points to note about that comp as well is that you were using a Killjoy back then in a time when Chamber was still as incredibly strong as he used to be on the previous patch. Now that we have shifted into this new patch and you have that sort of select Sentinel player in the form of Stanley, do you think that that favors you a little bit more than the sort of aggressive previous meta? How are you feeling with the changes that have come in?
I mean, personally, I like it a lot that Chamber got nerfed. I mean, I think everyone loves it.
Yeah.
But the meta is right now just a Killjoy meta, honestly. Like, Killjoy is so broken nowadays. So everyone is gonna be like, oh, please nerf Killjoy, nerf Killjoy, nerf Killjoy. I don't think it's a good opinion. I feel like you have to just play, you know, you have to be prepared to like counter it. And I think like Stanley isn't much of a Killjoy player.
Yeah,
he's more like a Cypher and like an Omen player. Because most of his games are always on the smokes. So I think Cypher is like a good one, but we have to be trying at least Stanley on the Killjoy, you know. Yeah. So it might be actually good for him, because on Cypher you have to be thinking a lot about the traps and stuff. So do you want like an info trap? Do you want kill traps? How am I supposed to put them? So I think Killjoy would be even good for him as well. If he just doesn't overthink, he plays the same way as he always does, shoots heads, you know how it be.
Yeah, I mean, that is something that I was saying, right? Like, Stanley is mainly playing the Cypher instead of the Killjoy. It's a little bit different, and you have, like you said, you have to have that flexibility about you. Things aren't always going to be the exact same. Since coming into Human Tripwires, you experienced that 2-0 win and then the immediate sort of 2-0 loss that you had yesterday. So you've already had the ups and downs and a little bit of a flavor of what this split is going to be like. How would you say it compares to the previous splits that you've played in sort of regional tier 2 competition? Obviously, you had a stint in the regional league in France with Mad Lions, and you have played in Polaris before. Would you say it's vastly different? Is the competition much stronger, or how would you really place it amongst one another?
I mean, I think the first season I played on Polaris, I mean, I was at the grand finals and we got absolutely swept by Excel back in the days. Yeah. I think, really no, like, I feel like this Polaris League is stacked. Like, everyone keeps saying it's the most stacked one. But some of these games we've been watching, honestly, with the ways, I feel like it's not the strongest at the point. Like, I feel like on the playoffs, the people who will make it to playoffs, of course us, I think then it's gonna be the most stacked games. I mean, at this point, it's not the best games so far, but on the playoffs, I feel like it's much more stronger there. But I feel like when I was playing, like, it was much more harder, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, so would you actually make the argument then that it's a little bit more simplistic than the last time you were playing?
Yeah. I feel like, in my opinion, yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I don't really know. I think it's much more because on 10 star when we played, I feel like it was like a new opportunity, you know. I was coming from the lower teams, like I wasn't like a signed player at all. I think the most team I was signed was Visual Gaming, but it was like not the tier 1, tier 2 like type of team, you know. So coming to 10 star and playing all of these like big names, like on Excel you had Foxy, Mo, Element, whatever, Alive, whatever you had there. Then we had 10 star, and I was never like on those levels before. So compared to now, I think right now I'm more like I know much more better than I used to be. Yeah, so I'm much more like skill-wise.
You have that experience, right? This is like your third term now, I guess you could really say, in the different sort of tier 2 circuits that you've played in, both in Polaris and in France. What would you say your biggest sort of takeaway from all of those experiences has been? What's the biggest thing that you've maybe learned to improve?
Honestly, when you play a best of 5, you have to keep the energy up. When you're on the fake map and you play a long day, you have to keep the energy up. You cannot fall asleep. One mistake and it's over, mate. Yeah. If you fall asleep, then it's done for. You're done. You're not winning then.
Is that one of the reasons why you got the coffees out now then? Just making sure the energy is always kept up to the level?
Yeah, it might be not the healthiest way, but it improves me. Like, it makes me much more better. So.
I guess this leads me to a really random question that I've just come up with then. If you weren't to pursue a career in esports, what do you think it is that you would do? Would you create like your own Polvi's sort of coffee brewing company or something else? Like what do you think you'd go for?
That's a good one. Always coffee corner. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm graduate as an electrician.
Oh, really?
So
Nice.
Yeah. If esports wasn't a thing, I think I would be just doing electrician work. But I was studying for C++ and coding and so on. So I just really enjoy it while I was playing at the same time. So I think if esports was a thing, I would be going to school, coding and so on. Maybe electrician and stuff. So.
Yeah, so you've always been pretty interested in technology then, and I guess if you know how to code, if you don't end up winning Polaris, you can always just sort of perhaps hack into the system and sort of change it to a win perhaps. But yeah, so you already said a little bit, right, about making it towards playoffs. Would you say that's your goal for this split then, to sort of reach playoffs and then Ascension on the cards? I guess you've got to take it one step at a time.
Yeah, that's our main focus at the moment. That was my and Adam's main focus since the Barbers. Like, we wanted to make the Ascensions, play the best ones, win everything. I mean, that's at least what I want. I want to play against the best, win them, and become the best, of course.
Well, I guess to play with the best, you got to beat the best, and you only get there one step at a time, right? So your next game up against HZD on the 31st. I'm actually going to be casting that game. That's the first game that I get to cover, so I'll be looking forward to covering you there. Any final thoughts ahead of that next matchup?
I mean. It's just like they have Ale and everything, Vicious, Lynxy. I've been
Ale W, bro.
Yeah. I love Ale, mate. They're all like funny guys. I like them. I like them a lot. I respect them as well.
So I mean, it'll definitely be a tough test, but we'll have to see how you do. But yeah, that's all of the questions that I have. Thank you so much for the interview. I have to say, you're definitely the most energetic Finnish person that I've ever spoken to. So hopefully that translates into the server, and we'll see some more ridiculous plays from you come the 31st.
Awesome stuff. See you then.
Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you soon.
Big hearts.